to say this. When you know that you're with an organization where your income earning self, your income earning work can happen alongside what is your life work, I mean, that's a home run.
Oh my God.
You're knocking it out of the park. And so in videos, for me, if I'm able to create extraordinary moments, that's, by the way, that's my vision for me. I have a personal vision for my life, and that is I'm Jeannie and I create extraordinary moments. How do I do that? That's my mission. My mission is I treat every day as a gift. You see that little gift thing a lot of the
Oh
times. That's my
yeah.
little trademark, right? And then I know my values. So in that sense, if I'm with an organization that is encouraging me to do videos,
Oh yeah.
I now know that this organization is giving me the opportunity to create moments, to do special things, to do meaningful work. I'm going to be real excited about that organization. I'm not going to see it as a chore or another responsibility.
Thank you so much in advance. So much gratitude for this show, driven by intelligence. My name is Durran Cage, and I'm so excited. I normally have these professional, well-written introductions, but my next guest today, we're not only going to get into intelligence, but we're going to get into some serious talks around branding, culture, experience, video, women in auto. Like, I'm so excited. And so we've been talking. I literally had to stop my guest here. We've been talking offline on here I was like, we have to stop and hit record. And that's the whole point of us bringing this show, that we have so many conversations via phone or via text about, I can't even say all the topics, but one thing that's been consistent is around growth and evolution, like evolving us and really the impact that we can make with people. So my next guest, we have Jeane Reitelbach. Am I saying that right? Did I get close? The
Yeah,
last name?
yeah, yeah,
All
right
right.
about.
Brand marketing strategist with over 12 years inside a dealership, a true force that I firsthand actually got the opportunity to see in action because I got to work alongside one of her dealerships that she was guiding, and I got to go alongside Jeane, which is a word that
That's
she
our
said to
word.
me. I love that word, and got to go alongside. But I'm talking about our powerhouse, a fearless leader, a serious contributor and person among engaged women in automotive. I've got to dig into that and be a part of one of those conversations, and I left, let's say, changed is the least that I can say, but super impactful, and I'm so excited. And I thank you so much in advance, Jeane, for carving out this time, because we've been talking about doing this for months, and we literally had to plan this 3 to 4 weeks in advance. So without further ado, Jeane, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Thank you. This has been something I've been looking forward to for weeks, and our conversations are so important to me to
Yeah.
gain your perspective on different things I'm working on. And, I love collaborating. You said our favorite word. We've landed on
Yeah.
it together. We both own it now, alongside one another.
Yeah.
And that is what I feel like our professional relationship, which has now led to this really nice professional friendship and
Yeah.
idea sharing, has allowed us to do. And that is to think out loud with one another, to be alongside each other as we're trying to really make contributions to the community of this, retail automotive space and
Mm-hmm.
beyond, to the partners, to the experts who come in and consult, to all of the organizations that are now starting to have events that just feel different. Like you and I, actually, our history began
Yeah.
at a SodaCon. What was that, 3 years ago?
Sure was. Shout out to Paul and Kyle. That's right.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So think about that. And I think back to that and I said to myself, wow, this guy is someone I need to learn from. And I think that is when we started to reach out and talk with one another.
Mm-hmm.
You've been generous with your time. I hope I've, responded in kind. And
Yes.
then we had the extraordinary experience of working together with one of our Honda store teams.
Mm-hmm.
And the synergy there just was really great. Our dinner with the dealer principal and my husband, who also we worked together, Jason
Hey, Jason.
Reitelbach, and you, that was tremendous to get to know someone as a person.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, to know this is the right partner for these folks, this team that I care about. This is the right person to put, my endorsement behind and say, I'd really like to consider bringing him in and having him train our teams. And to say that the experience was phenomenal is an understatement, and I won't embarrass you. I'll just say I think you are brilliant.
Thank you. I received that. And I return that
Mm.
right back because you have raised the bar even in my thought process. And really, I think what I learned, and I think so many people, when they're listening to you, it's that art of being able to connect with heart, like really intentional listening. And you gave me, I think, a greater appreciation for how important the branding and marketing aspect are the things. Because I can think of ideas that I would say to you, and then you would be like, you know what? Because this aligns perfectly with the brand that we have around. It's like we can do this at this store because of service we can do. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so important because it's reminding me that whenever, and this is for any consultant trainer out there, but it's so important that no matter what you're teaching, that it aligns with that store's brand and their promise and what they're trying to create, not your own entity of your consultant or sales training's brand, and you're trying to instill that in your people. So you have to find that like happy medium to where people, establish their brand, their true authentic self, but they're keeping that company brand, which comes from that brand strategist, you so really good. But one thing that I want to ask you is what got you to that point of branding, marketing strategist, and even got you into automotive? Because I'm not we talk a lot about who you are and what you do now, and
Mm-hmm.
as a mother too of your children, it's phenomenal. Which I say children is like you got little babies, but you got young adults pretty much. But what
Sometimes they're
got you to
adult
that?
children.
Yeah, but give us a little background on you and what got you to this point, because I think there's so much more to
Mm-hmm.
gain from that heart and the mindset and that connection that you have. So walk us through what got you to that point and then into automotive.
That's a great question. I appreciate it. It's a real it's enjoyable to share that part of who we are with others.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for being interested. When
Yeah.
I started my career in marketing, I was involved in those early years in I'm going to date myself, and that's okay.
That's all
In
good.
1998,
All right.
when we still had like Ask Jeeves and Netscape and
Yeah.
Dogpile. Oh my gosh, if anyone knows these things, it's kind of funny. And Google was coming on the scene.
Yes.
So it was exciting for me to be able to move into the marketing space at just the same time that Google was emerging and really making itself known. And we didn't even know at that time it was going to become the standard, right?
Yeah.
And so I was a marketing coordinator in healthcare. I started to get involved in leading some of our technology team already in trying to make certain that what they were doing with websites, which at that time they were hand coded HTML, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh
was
wow, that's
really,
crazy.
I know, right? Was really done in such a way so that it demonstrated who we are,
Mm-hmm.
how we did things, and what we wanted to be known for. So there was this intuitive sense that that's how a company differentiates itself.
Yeah.
And so from those early years to be involved in the team where you had really technical folks, there were no content management systems to work with
Yeah.
for creating web pages. You were just, HTML hand coding. So
Mm-hmm.
then there I was introduced into this team. I would ask certain questions. Can we change this? Can we change this? Yeah, but that's going to take a little time. And I just had a sense that, like, maybe I wasn't getting the full story, and that's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what I did was I had already graduated from college, so it allowed me to take postgraduate classes. So, without sharing with anyone, I just invested in myself and I went and I learned programming, I learned how to code. I really got deep into some of the things that the team members that I was with were doing. I never meant to show up as a know it all. I actually wanted to do that so the conversations were quicker
Mm-hmm.
and that the projects could move along at a faster pace. Because I felt like there was a difference between the way technology folks talked and the way that perhaps someone in marketing spoke. So if I could at least close the gap on my end and understand their language,
That's
then
good.
I could work harder at being clear and practicing, teaching them mine so that projects could move forward faster. I just kind of fell in love with it. I fell in love with the intersection between techie thinking
Mm-hmm.
and the marketing mind and and brand as the foundation.
Yeah.
So the way I build it out is I always say brand is foundational. That's your vision.
Mm-hmm.
That's your mission. That's your values. That's your tone and your personality. Brand is, again, how you do things, why you do things that way, what you want to be known for. And then you have to do the market research to say to yourself, are we known for that?
Yeah.
Are we doing it that way from the outside perspective? That's the marketing, research activity. The brand is foundational. All of that belongs in a guideline.
Yep.
So you should always have a brand guideline, and it should include a little bit of language, which I call tone and personality. Because we know, you and I do, that part of connection and part of culture and part of extending it to guests is that they feel the consistency of the language of a
Yeah.
group, of an organization, right? Of a dealership. And so language definitely belongs in a brand guideline. Then that brand guideline is always provided to those who will help us to do market-based activities that inform us whether we're hitting our standards for what we, put out there as a brand promise. What we learn, what we're informed about from those market-based activities,
Mm-hmm.
that then allows us to formulate what I call our advertising plan. So then the
Ah, I like that.
advertising is like actionable campaigns so that we close the gap between what is the brand promise from our perspective and our goals to what is the perceived experience. And we close that gap through market research, being informed, and then taking action to make sure that we're delivering in person on the
Mm-hmm.
message that we're saying in digital space or any space, whether it's a billboard or not, right? And so then the offline and the online experience match. And you'll
Yes.
really see if it does based on consumer reviews.
Oh
And
yeah.
you and I talk about this a lot. It's like in the old days, we'd have to pay for survey companies to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like free now. It's a gold mine of information for someone who really wants to make sure brand promise is pushed into every area of a dealership. But it requires a strategy. It requires a process. Brand is science and art. And I say that because there are measurables, but then the art of it
Yeah.
is really important too, because how do you how do you communicate it to others? How do you make sure that what is decided at a higher level by an organization can be clearly articulated
Mm-hmm.
and demonstrated at all levels, all the way down to someone who sits at the welcoming hospitality desk, or the porter who makes an absolute first impression. And from my perspective, that porter's part of my brand marketing team.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack there. I love, well, yeah, you went in, and this is expected. I because I'm thinking, I have a question, but I want to go deep into what I wrote down about branding as being that base, like what kicks off, and I th- now it makes so much sense. See, this is what's so great about speaking to people that are so great in what they do, because this isn't my expertise. That's not my field. I've not studied branding for 20, 30, So you might, because people sometimes will say, well, Durran, you created a great brand, but it wasn't an intentional as the way that you laid it out. It would have been nice to go back about 10 years and lay out the brand, but it's because most of us don't slow down, because I know, especially speaking as a serious ex car guy, I'm still a car guy at heart, meaning like somebody that sold cars and was in retail. We get so focused on sell, 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 make money, make money, make money, that the branding aspect of it is like, well, just roll that into the advertising, whatever that is, but we need to get customers here. I'm sure any dealership listening to this, watching this, or anybody that's a marketer, it's the number one thing that typically comes out of a dealership's mouth right now is, I need more feet on the ground in my dealership, which that's a whole nother topic to me for
Mm-hmm.
somebody to even say something like that in 2025. But I think it's great that we're having this conversation now, because this is what's going to help dealerships in the next 5 years. If they can get this part down that Jeannie just broke into, that just talked about it in terms of branding and really defining, being clear about it, and then making sure the whole team understands it with clarity. That is one issue that I see across automotive in most organizations. I mean, it just happened on Monday. I was in Knoxville,
Mm-hmm.
and the store that I was at, I was asking questions about their brand. Like, what are the things that you all are known about? And when I talked to the sales team, half of them, they kind of looked at me like I was a little crazy. And in the showroom, the only brand things that you saw were mainly offers, right?
Mm-hmm.
0% for this. I said, but
Transactional.
yeah, there we go. And I said, and when I talked to the dealer principal, I said, you want to create, I said, your culture, they have a phenomenal culture. I said, but your branding in terms of what's supposed to kind of support what's going on here is all, to your point, transactional. Deal, deal, deal. But you have some of the nicest, friendliest people. You all are doing community service. You're doing your own thing as a leader. So to get to my question that I wrote down as you were speaking is, how does an organization, and I'm going to put a slash here as I'm saying this, how does an organization or a person, because I know we have some salespeople that watch this as well, and maybe they're trying to find their brand or their brand voice for even themselves, but speaking to dealers as well, how does an organization build that brand, what's the first step that they need to take if they don't really have an established brand, or maybe
Hmm.
it's time for them to rebrand themselves, like kind of reignite it a little bit, freshen it up. But what's one of the first steps that you would take them to, and then maybe like that second step?
So, in order to talk about this, it's important that I share that I also had to sell in my life. So, we'll keep going with the first question
Yes,
and weave in the second because that's how my brain typically works and our conversations always go.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, as I moved from healthcare into heavy hauling, believe it or not, trucking. Yes.
I was
I
just
met
about to
this
say heavy hauling. As
heavy, like
all
the
right,
the
yeah,
big long rigs that you have,
that's
like the
it.
police and the escorts, and they have to lift it. Yep, heavy hauling,
Oversized load. Yeah.
oversized loads. That's right, down at Eddystone, Pennsylvania, down right outside of between Chester and the city of Philadelphia.
Oh
I met
wow.
a fantastic gentleman. And through a friend of mine, and he was talking about how they were having difficulty with some of their materials, their marketing materials, their websites. They had two different websites, and then also with their sales team, in really talking about how different of a company they were. And so, through the progression of my career, I said, I could help you. And he said, okay, I would like that. And so I actually started working with them as part of that was when I really stepped into my role as an
Yeah.
independent businesswoman.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I joined his organization. It was Robbins Motor Transportation. Joe Robbins was one of the best mentors a woman could ever have asked for in her life. And so Joe taught me about the art of selling. And what I
Interesting.
realized was, oh, Joe is a branding genius. Okay, I get this. So he taught me that sweet spot between what are those idealistic perspectives, the vision, the mission, the values of an organization, the language of an organization, and how to actually activate it so that you could do the work of selling.
Oh, that's
And
good.
so I was there as an expert to help him with that sweet spot operationally, where again, technology meets branding. But he asked me to go along to a meeting with him one time in Boston. I went along to listen and learn. I think that's very important. I said, absolutely, I'll go. I need to listen and learn how these big multi-million dollar sales decisions are made. And I ended up speaking up in the meeting and just asking questions in moments of silence. And on the way home, Joe said, I know this isn't what you do and what we hired you for, but I want to put you on this account and I want to see if you can get it for us.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so it was for a project in Marcus Hook. They had a refinery. They were trying to decide
Okay.
who was going to be doing all of the material supply chain and everything. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? And Joe's like, you know, the kind of leader who says, I believe in you. Take all of these ideas that you have about branding and just use them. And then let me also coach you a little bit about what it's like to do business in a sector, such as trucking.
Yeah.
All about relationships.
100%.
It's about listening. It's about learning. It's about what Joe would say to me, like, get them to coach you through the sale. And when they need answers, give them clear answers. Make sure it represents who we are, how we do things, what we stand for, that alignment, And when the alignment's good and the relationship gets to that point of trust, you're going to be able to do this over and over. And so it was, and I'm saying this because we will have salespersons watching this. So I want them to know they're listening to a person who sold also. And it was through making certain that I understood who Jeannie was when Jeannie was talking.
Yeah.
Who Jeannie needed to be as a spokesperson for my organization at the time, Robbins Motor Transportation. And so how I needed to represent them according to what they, what were the ideal jobs for them. And then listening and learning, and then taking all my listening and learning, understanding where that alignment created a win-win, a win-win. I call it a win-win-win. It's 3 actually for me. So it's a Jeannie win, it's a company win, and it was the customer win.
I like that.
Yeah. And then that was how I ended up being quite a successful saleswoman for them for several years.
Wow. I like
Yeah.
how you
And
connected
so
that. Keep going.
not only that, I got to keep going. Not only that, but in order for me to really do this kind of complex, long sales cycle, when you're talking about multi-million-dollar deals, you're talking about the long sale, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're talking, you've got bridge analysis with engineers, you've got the city involved, permits, the government. There's a lot of moving parts. And every single one of them I noticed was based on relationships. In fact, it was the craziest story. I'm going to tell it to you. One time we were doing some work for material supply into the city of Camden. They were doing a revitalization program. I had to take trucks across the Ben Franklin Bridge at the busiest time. And Joe says, you could figure this out. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And he says, I'm going to have you call Father Mike. And I'm like, Father Mike? And he's like, yes. He is the pastor of a Catholic church.
That's awesome.
In Camden. I'm like, okay, why am I calling Father Mike to get the trucks over the bridge in time and under the crane?
Yeah.
And he's like, just call Father Mike, Jeannie.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, okay. What I didn't know was that Father Mike was very involved in the community. Okay. And it was a community that was really struggling. So I said, Father Mike, I was asked to call you. Joe Robbins asked me to call you, and I'd like to talk to you about, something that I'm working on, and I've kind of hit a tough spot. And so he and I got to know each other, and he said, before I could really encourage you in the right direction, I need you to do something for me. I've got 50 families that need to have a Christmas. And I think you're the right woman to get those families adopted.
Oh, wow.
So if you could get them taken care of and their wish lists down to our parish, then I think while we're together, we can have a conversation. And so here then I also learned what would serve me later on in retail automotive, and that's that important part about community and charity. And that relationships aren't to serve us before we serve the community. And it has to be authentic. And it's going to involve time and work. So if you're not interested, it's going to show, right?
Yeah.
Well, he happened to hit my heart. And so I was like, oh, I love this. So we were able to get all of those families what they needed, blankets, coats, you name it. And we shoved it into Jason and I met at that time. He was my fiance. We shoved it into our vehicles and we took it down there. And then he said, we unloaded it. And he's like, well, you're going to stay, right? And, and it kept going on and on and on. I had no idea that at the end of this, I was going to have just really, I know it now. It was my first experience with what would be life work, and that's that extraordinary moments,
Yeah.
right? And then through that, um, I was going to really develop a friendship with him. And then he kind of talked out what were my options. And he started putting me in touch with the community. And when he did, he got me, you know, phone numbers of people I could call and different businesses that might have some open parking lots. So that what I could do is I could get the trucks over the bridge before busy periods and have them sit in like a drop lot parking lot if I had permission. And then from there, I could send them over to the crane, with the walkie talkie.
Yeah.
But the first thing that was first, and Joe knew it, and he didn't tell me it. Like he was teaching me this beautiful lesson about selling. He was teaching me how to use my heart. He was teaching me how to serve and how to create relationships. And that those relationships created such a speed that I had so many people offer me their parking lots that I looked like I did something amazing. And really, the truth is that we, Father Mike, and the community, and all the people that he knew, and myself and the group, my organization, we were just alongside each other, making sure that all these needs were met simultaneously at the same time. Now, I bring that up because that's a real good thing for salespersons in dealerships to hear.
Yes.
I don't think I could tell a better story because it was what Robbins Motor Transportation was about, involving themselves in community. But he wasn't going to spell it out for me. He wanted to also see what heart I brought to it, And so that really taught me alignment between an organization, the people who work there, and the community you serve, and how you can move from those transactional phone calls to the relationship building that ultimately, it's not my phrase, right? Creates the Stephen Covey's speed of trust.
Yeah.
And at the end of that experience, guess what? Guess what I received? I received books like The Speed of Trust. I received my reading afterwards from Joe. But he taught me that. And I think that message is very important. And I share that because I think it really demonstrates that community and charity initiatives that happen in an auto group or at a dealership, they're there for salespersons. They're not just top-down initiatives, right?
Yeah.
They're there for us to give us an opportunity to really demonstrate our hearts and really connect with the people we're serving. And through that, you do create relationships. You do get phone calls from people. You get a whole bunch of hand raises.
Yeah.
Now, for me, the hand raises were I have a parking lot you could use. The hand raises you would get in a dealership is I have a neighbor, I have a sister, I have an uncle looking for a vehicle. Or so-and-so moved to town, they have, a Honda. What is the best place for them to go? Is it your place? It's really important to understand that we're one of the most, I believe, and that is my humble opinion, that we're one of the most charitable communities that I've ever spent my professional time in retail automotive. And again, okay, now we're going to add a win, right? Now we're at 4 wins. It was for me, Jeane. It was for the company and me representing them and their brand promise and their values. It was for the customer because they got what they needed to get across the bridge and to get under the crane. And it was for the community. So we've got now, we're just merging them up. We're stacking them up, stacking those wins up. It's all about the winning. When you have that kind of energy too, I mean, you can't fake this stuff. You can't fake the kind of energy you get when you feel good. I
Yeah.
mean, I have to slow myself down when I get excited
Mm-hmm.
and not talk so fast because my energy comes through. I have to like actively do that.
Yep.
Um, and that really resonates and that creates connection. So it is so important to understand brand as the demonstration of who we are, what we do, how we do things, why we do it, to be aligned with it, to be heart aligned with it, to demonstrate it in our actions, to focus
Mm-hmm.
on that, and to know that's going to get me into a top salesperson situation. That's what happened to me.
Oh, wow.
I started really knocking it out of the park, and here I was supposed to be helping them with, brand strategy and technology and websites, and so I learned I also needed to get to know my colleagues. Operationally, what happens where a brand promise meets the actual operations part of things? That's the magic. You know where that's most especially the magic? My favorite, fixed operations, fixed
Yep.
ops in the service lane, right? And so I would say that the first thing that a company would need to do was to have who they are, why they do things, how they want things done, very clearly stated in a brand guideline that has tone and personality and has specific language, and then make sure everyone knows about that as they're
Mm-hmm.
brought on. And then that is always a living document, right?
Yeah.
It can expand. As you add services like mobile services, it would need to
Oh,
expand then,
yeah.
right? So what are some of the guidelines with that? And so
Yeah.
then that brand guideline really is like kind of like a seat at the table, not the
Mm-hmm.
not the person in charge of it, not it wouldn't be me as the director. The brand itself would be the seat at the table. I'm just bringing attention back to it. And then it's part of the decision making. It helps teams know whether someone's a yes or a no as a hire, whether someone's a yes or a no as a partner, whether technology is a yes or a no, whether a particular community initiative is a yes or a no. It can guide those decisions. And so, being that that's the case, if I were a salesperson, I'd really want to know everything about my brand.
Gosh, that's so important.
And then
Do
I'd align it with my heart, my Jeane brand.
mm, mm, mm.
And then
Man,
whenever I'm chatting with somebody, whether I'm, volunteering for community work or whether it's someone that I'm helping them make their big decision, and buy their next family adventure vehicle, right? That I would be coming to them as a good spokesperson for both myself and for the organization, and understanding that I am to be focused on relationships and I am to stay away from transactional because that's what the brand promise has asked me to do. And that's the commitment I made as an employee of that organization.
and that's not easy. Sometimes, when I listen to you speak, especially towards the end, when you talk about not to speak transactional, that can be a hard thing for some when the guest is coming in very transactional. It makes us
Mm-hmm.
leave the brand behind, because that customer maybe has an expectation. Doesn't mean we meet them where they're trying to be, or they have transactional questions or transactional concerns about interest rate pay. Those things that are normally part of an advertising strategy, like the money.
Mm-hmm.
But to think about where brand plays into that, how you weave that into the conversation, that's where the magic happens, because then it does create that that relationship to your point. And if I didn't hear relationship, at least a few times. I mean, that's part of that brand, and I like how you broke it down into those 4 parts, and then you added the community
Mhm.
there at the end because the I think the message for me that was coming into my head, and this is why I love these conversations because I'm hearing you and listening with intent, and the notes and what's in my mind is probably something completely different than somebody else that's listening to you and
Mm.
what they receive. That is magical, and so you are so well with how you communicate, and it helps, especially for someone like me because my mind can go all over the place, and it helps me focus when I'm listening to you. But where my mind was at as I'm listening to you speak is I'm being involved in a lot of conversations recently about finding more salespeople. Like
Yeah.
we need the right people. We need more leaders, sales managers. And hey, Duran, do you know of anybody in this area? Do you know of anybody? And when I'm listening to you, what I'm hearing then is if these stores were doubling down on
Mhm.
their brand and their promise and who they are and executing on that, they would more than likely not have an issue attracting people to want to come to their dealership almost every day, because you've created something, especially when you're talking about the community,
Mhm.
because the community will serve you back. To your point, when you need people, you don't have to ask a Durran Cage or a Jeannie. You could go to the community and say, hey, great news. We have grown because we've been connected with you all and we thank you so much, but we have a big favor and ask. We would like to invite some of the members into of the community to come in and work at our dealership. If you believe
Mhm.
and feel connected to what we're doing and our promise and our brand or whatever we call that for that store, we would be honored if you'd come join us. Whether they send out through their CRM or through social media channels with heart in their message. I believe that you kind of solve that problem. So you talked about fixed ops. That's obviously a big issue too, sometimes with trying to get techs and the
Mhm.
right people back there to grow that. And what I'm hearing, and I hope other people kind of got this as well, is like a lot of issues that sometimes are coming up is it's pointing back to our internal infrastructure. And are we clear on who we really want? Because I wrote that down. You're talking about who they are, why, and how do we do things. If those things probably aren't dialed in, you might need to pause and really refine everything, whether you do this with a genie or however you do, but refine this and then go out to the market and start hiring people and having an onboarding program that goes along with that, because that's a whole nother topic, is that branding and then how do you onboard somebody into that. But that's where you had mentioned about you have to almost marry, I don't know the exact words, but how you get it connected to the operational side. And
Yes.
that's where you see a lot of disconnect in many corporations is you have the brand and even maybe a marketing team or a strategist or something, but then how do you get the operations to not devalue that for one, but then also to keep that going in their own employee to employee conversations, not employee to customer conversations, which leads me to the next question, and you can still stay on our first topic, and then this kind of builds with
Mhm.
this next question and how it integrates, because this is part of my jam and something I love to talk about, which is video is part of our voice.
Yes.
Video is one of the most impactful things that has transformed my life and my business over the last, I would say, 15 years. Of heavy video content. That mainly at the beginning, when I first started doing content, from the very first video I put on YouTube, was all about serving a customer, because
Mhm.
there was questions around how to set up Bluetooth, how to set up your car after delivery, because we would deliver cars all over the country. So I would record videos on YouTube and upload and send them to them. I had no intent. I didn't know that some of these videos have over 500,000 hits now, and I
Mhm.
still get emails from customers asking me questions about Hyundais and Chrysler 300s. It's wild.
That's wild.
Yeah, even when I was when I was a Chrysler manufacturer rep, that's what moved me to Tennessee in 07, 08. I would make videos of the cars that I was trying to sell dealers, because dealers didn't want to buy like Dodge Journeys, and there was other vehicles that had come out, and the dealers were like, I'm not taking it. This is 07, 08. And I would record videos of me driving the car and doing a
Mm-hmm.
walk around on it and sending it to dealers and just saying,
Being
here's how we,
excited,
there you go. And
energy, a little energy behind it.
yes, yes. And so when we think
Mm-hmm.
about video as part of that voice, that brand strategy,
Mm-hmm.
how do dealers weave that in and not get caught up in the transactional video voice? Because I'm seeing so much of it again now. 10 grand,
Yeah.
15 grand off, 20 grand off, employee pricing, employee disc, and it's like, talk to us about that, of how you can use video as part of your brand strategy and still get some of the other tangibles that they want, which would be the results of more customers showing into a service drive or more customers transacting with their sales team.
I'm going to say, you and I have talked about this. We both feel that video is a hospitality tool
Yeah.
for creating really special and extraordinary moments.
Yeah.
And if you think about measuring what you're going to do when you hit that red button against, am I going to create noise, or am I going to really just kind of take the opportunity, ready to be a little vulnerable, a little fun, to have energy, and to use it to demonstrate my hospitality to them,
Yeah.
and to kind of just create this little moment for them, back to the relationship. So you and I agree that video is a hospitality tool.
I like that.
That's what I mean, I don't know if it's a weird thing to call it, but I think it is. I think it is a way to create a moment. And I get these really lovely notes through LinkedIn. And okay, here's what everyone needs to know. Durran, you were the person who said to me, it's time to do videos, Jeannie. So I had a lot, and you're like, oh, you should share that. Oh, you should share that. Okay, just. And so you really did encourage me. And my first one, I even did a shout out to you, and I said, okay, this one's
I
for you.
remember. Yeah.
Since then, I got in my car, and I tell you this all the time. I would have to practice because I didn't like the sound of my voice, or I didn't like, just my own nuances. What I didn't know was my nuances were enjoyable to other people.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had to get used to them, not get rid of them. I had to embrace myself and not be perfect, because I'm not. And so if I tried to be, I wouldn't even be off. I'd lose everything. There would be no extraordinary moment there. It'd be all about me. And hospitality isn't about me. Hospitality is about them. So if I could get over myself and do this hospitality moment using video as my tool, that would be great. So I got in the car and I would just hit the button and I would see something that was great about the day. And then I'd pause it, I'd watch it, and I'd delete it until I was brave enough to put a couple out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try LinkedIn. Oh, that's kind of vulnerable and very brave, but I'm just going to do it because I'll probably get some feedback. So I created a data feedback loop for myself.
Oh, wow.
I will get these lovely messages from strangers, and they'll just say, like, I love when you talk about how motherhood has helped you as an executive woman. I love how you bring in your running and exercise into, your professionalism. I really enjoy your videos. I just want you to know that I look forward. I hope maybe someday we get to meet each other. I'm like, what is all this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what is all this? I was creating moments, and strangers were responding And I should have known this from all my years, right? But even when I started to do it with video, it kind of took me back a moment, and I was shocked by these lovely little notes. And my goodness, they just gave me more energy, Durran, to just make another one. Oh, I have a thought. I should share that. I should make another one. And so it was first starting as like a data feedback loop, like the science of Jeannie, trying to say which one is sticky, which one isn't, right? But then when I really, really, what is it called? Practiced what you're talking about and forgot about the data and the feedback loop and just started to recognize the connection and the craving for it. And then how good it felt to serve that need.
Yeah.
And it felt good for them. It felt good for me. And through that, I have had so many business relationships develop. It's kind of amazing, actually. The same thing will happen when a salesperson or a service advisor or a service manager, or here we go, ready? Or a general sales manager, a fix ops director, takes that video and sends it to their team after a really extraordinary month. Or a new hire receives a video message from the dealer principal welcoming them a week before they're starting, names them by name and says, "We're really excited for you to start on Wednesday." There's tools out there where you could do this. And it sounds like a lot of heavy lifting, but if you make video part of your internal culture, being hospitable to each other, being thoughtful with one another, it's going to become a natural part of them using it as a hospitality tool and serving our guests in so many ways. I mean, you and I, we've talked about pre-purchase moments, purchase moments, post-purchase moments, and fixed ops. You and I could oh my gosh, we could probably do a series, couldn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Of all the different ways that video should and could be used to raise that level of customer experience. It's kind of extraordinary. But I think that even beyond the profit, it does create its own culture. Yeah. And here's another thing I would venture to say. There are so many beautiful moments that happen in a dealership where people really need someone to help them, or something like an accident has occurred and they need a vehicle, or something really big happened to their vehicle and they don't feel safe in it right before they're about to go on their family vacation. And they're just really looking for genuine, professional, and thoughtful assistance. Those are beautiful moments, Durran, right? Yes. And the way we respond to them, and then the way we receive a thank you note, or the way that we could be recognized for going above and beyond for that customer, the way we treat one another, there's a lot of moments there where those celebrations in and of themselves also, if someone thought to just hit the red button and catch it and put it everywhere, that would probably be one of your best hiring strategies ever.
Oh my gosh.
This is how we treat each other. And since we treat each other like this, that's what you're going to feel like when you're part of our team. And then what does that do for the community? Oh, this is how we treat one another as teams. Mm-hmm. So you can expect that if you're our guest, we're going to 10 times this. Good stuff. Oh, and as a community partner, they're also going to see, the way we treat one another and say, oh, that's so fully aligned with our hearts and what we're trying to do. So I would also encourage a lot of the celebrations, recognitions, all those moments, ready? Yes. Employee of the day, create reasons to celebrate and hit the red button and put them on video and then put them everywhere and show who you are. There's so many really amazing leaders out there. And they're knocking it out of the park with their teams. And our words are one thing, but when you actually see it happening, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
back to you as a review, you can read a review and you can hide a person's last name and you could say, my guest Doreen came in. She was really concerned about her tires. She had a right to be concerned. We took care of her. She has 4 new tires. She's on her way to her great vacation at the beach with her family. And she still took the time to write a thank you note to me. And so I received her 5-star Google review. Now, what I want to do is I want to say, hey, thank you so much. And thanks for mentioning my name. Because knowing that I helped you and that I was part of your vacation, that's a big deal to me. Like, that makes my work meaningful. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate that you were generous with your time and, you gave our team your 5 stars.
I never thought about reading that aloud and even capturing moments like that. So you,
Paraphrasing, yeah.
oh my gosh. Uh, what gets me excited the most about what you just shared is something that I've mentioned. I don't talk about it enough, but you really brought it home with video is a culture. And when you use it
Mm-hmm.
internally, it only makes sense. The way you word it is like, and that makes sense now why it works. Because the clients that I serve and get the opportunity to work with, the ones that are doing the best in terms of giving these digital experiences and sending videos to customers, they send just as many, if not more, internally all the
Mm-hmm.
time. I've got GM sending videos to your point. Hey, hey, David, salesperson, yesterday you knocked it out the park. 7 reservations set, 18 videos sent. I just want to say I
Yeah.
appreciate you from the bottom of my like those things are so magical
Mm-hmm.
because it's almost I don't know what movie or where it comes from, but I've heard this saying so much is that um, our emotions or sometimes energy is transferred. It was like something like good or bad energy gets transferred, right? And to me, I look at it as video is a massive way to carry lots of energy because to your point, Jeannie, the words only, just a little text that you send to somebody, there
Yeah,
is
we're.
energy in that. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
read text, I've received messages from you like that you can feel the person's energy in their words, like wow. But there's
Mm-hmm.
something else when it's that heartfelt expression done with video and voice that comes over to a person and they see that and they receive that energy. Well, now that they have that, they are now going to do something with it.
Contagious.
They're going to share it even
Yeah.
better. Sometimes, let's pause on the customer side for a little bit. Like, yes, that's important. That's part of why we have this podcast. We're talking about strategies, and this is great. But let's come over and pivot to their family side.
Mm-hmm.
Their partner, their spouse, their friend. And now all of a sudden they're taking videos and sending it to their children now. Hey there, I
I
just want to
do
let
that.
you know I'm thinking of you. Great game yesterday. I mean, I did it just this past, I think it was Friday, my son, and I didn't send him the video because I recorded him on video, but I send voice notes to my sons now. Because keep it real, I used to text them like, "Great game. Here's some things," but now I'll send a video or a voice note that just says, "Son, first off, I want to say I'm proud of you. Another game. You fought. You worked hard. This is great." And it's funny because now the engagement that I'm getting from my sons when I send the video, all right,
Mm-hmm.
or a voice is so much greater than what it was when I was just sending these words and sending them like
Yeah.
notes out of my iPhone. It seemed
Mm-hmm.
very Coach Cage like. No heart, just straight. This is what you. But when they get the dad voice with love and giving them some game and feedback, all of a sudden now I'm getting those back. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. And there's this connection. So hearing you break that down that way and not speaking so much about why video walkarounds do so well and what the percentage is, but going into the heart of video and using it as a culture internally and ways to uplift people and to share customer experiences. To me, if you did nothing but that today and didn't get out as much content to customers, but internally, especially if it's a
Mm-hmm.
large organization, those are the ones where that kind of like the brand and the culture can sometimes get really thin the larger it gets, because the larger something gets,
Yes.
the more people are focusing on them becoming larger, and everybody's just focused on growth, 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 growth. But when you can create what we're talking about here and have that culture of, a one-on-one recap video coming from a leader after they just had a little touching or
Can you
touch
imagine?
session.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
make me feel so special if someone took 30 seconds and did that for me. Because what you're
Yeah.
talking about is giving them, we call it in our house memory making. You're
Yeah.
talking about memory making. And
Good.
now this is one that they could play over and over. This is that one that they could send along and tell their best friend, like, look at what my boss said to me today.
Yeah.
This is one that will carry them through a tougher conversation because they got loved on, right? And they have it like to replay. That's so good. It's memory making. And in fact, if you are to introduce yourself as a salesperson, my first thing, if I were a saleswoman and I wanted to return
Mm-hmm.
um, a phone call or a form or a text and I used video, I would just really make it very casual. I would introduce myself. I'd say, and you and I have talked about this. This particular line, I'd say, "Hi, I just want you to know that I did receive your message. My name is Jeannie. I am so excited to be alongside you as you are making this big decision.
Yeah.
And so please know that you may text me or call me. I'm still going to reach out to you, but
Yeah.
I'm really thrilled that I'm the one who gets to do this with you. And I just wanted to let you know, I wanted you to know my face. I wanted you to know my name. And please let me know the best way to get in
Yeah.
touch with you. Something along that lines, but to just let him know, like, I am so excited that I'm the one that gets to be alongside you as you are
Mm-hmm.
making this big decision. You and I, we taught that to a group at the Honda dealership,
Yes.
and you're just like, that word, it works
Because
because it's
words
true.
matter. Yeah.
You
Keep
know,
going. Yeah.
it's
I
so
want to keep going.
it's yeah, it's true. And it's true for our career growth too. I don't know how many people think to send a boss a note of their gratitude.
Yeah.
Like, we always want to receive, right? But do
Mm.
we ever send it to them? And do we ever say, thank you so much for taking the time for doing my quarterly performance review? I'm really pleased to learn that I'm really knocking it out of the park with the Google Ads performance. I do appreciate that you shared with me that you want me to focus on the review response time. That's something that I want to make sure I'm getting right. So I really appreciate that you shared that with me. You gave me some really actionable things to do. By you telling me what you liked and what you would like me to work on, by you doing both of those things, I recognize you're really investing in me, and I'm just feeling grateful. So I wanted you to know that today.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think that person's going to take me with them wherever they go in their career?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's unheard of, and it's interesting that you say that, because I've received a few videos from salespeople, like after I've left a store, like after training, and then part of the course that we have, you have to send a video. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and some people really pay attention in the course because it says, "Hey," and I cannot believe I did this, but it says, "All right, so if you're ready for this challenge, right? You're ready, like, Durran, I'm going to send a video. All right, send a video right now. My phone number is 731 boom, boom, my real, not the business line, the real line." And
Mm-hmm.
so, but then when you finish that chapter, it has a box that says upload video here. So most people just upload the video there and it's done. But some people are very technical. They wrote my number down and they text it. But it's amazing how many of those people, every person that's done that and sends it to me, has some of the most, like, I have them saved, the words
Yeah.
that they say. Durran, I just
Yes.
want to say, I've been sitting here through this course and taking it, and I know I'm supposed to send you a video here, and I am, but I just want to say thank you, a heartfelt. And when I receive that,
Mm-hmm.
the way that it even makes me feel. So I get what you're saying. You reversed it. We've talked so much about the culture and coming from leaders, owners. That's who. But
Yeah.
I think this was such a great message for somebody to hear on the other side of that, to
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, maybe your store doesn't even have a video culture. Maybe they're not even fooling around with video because your GM or your owner doesn't really believe in it. Well, you could start with what Jeannie just said.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you got paid. When's the last time you sent a video for getting paid from your owner, receiving a
Mm-hmm.
check, in a time that some would consider people seem a little bit more entitled sometimes, like they're expecting, like, of course I'm going to get paid. I did the work. But it
Mm-hmm.
still is, it's an honor. There's gratitude that we're receiving resources when some people might not even be in the position to get to work because of a situation that they're going through right now. So the way
Yes.
that you position that is in a way that I've never really heard anybody say it, is like, hey, it's okay to receive, but there's nothing wrong with also giving back. And it's reciprocal because you can stir. I mean, what did that changes the whole heart of your leadership team coming from someone else that received something.
Mm-hmm.
So, whew,
Hospitality can
yes.
oftentimes be replaced with the word gratitude actions, or like hospitality is being grateful.
Yeah.
I mean, we're grateful you're here. I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful I'm here. I'm grateful I'm working for you. I'm grateful for
Yeah.
this organization. Like, if I had a way to create a real ninja hiring platform, I would make
I like
sure
it.
that I made video available for testimonials for all of my folks to come on and just say what in life they were able to achieve because they attached their dream to my organization,
Ooh.
right? And then I would have that on my hiring page. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
would do that.
gosh.
And then I would encourage on every single job post saying that there's a role that's available.
That's so
I
good.
would talk about what the person's going to do
Mm-hmm.
in relation to how they're going to serve the vision and the mission and be part of a culture like this. And then I would refer them to please explore who we are, what we're about, and what you're going
Yeah.
to feel like as part of our team, and have them visit that particular site that has people talking about like everything they were able to accomplish as a result of attaching their dreams to an
Yeah.
organization. When you think that it's a reciprocal relationship, that's when you recognize that it's only natural then to be sending those videos up. I mean, that's
Oh
the
my
culture
God.
we're talking about.
Mm, mm,
You
mm.
can't fake this stuff either.
No, you can't. It
You
has
just,
to. Because
you
if
have
it
to,
is fake, they'll feel it, right?
yeah. It's a way of being. Um, And you know what I like to say, and we'll bring this into it. I like to say this: when you know that you're with an organization where your income earning self, your income earning work can happen alongside what is your life work, I mean, that's a home run.
Oh my
You're
God.
knocking it out of the park. And so, in videos, for me, if I'm able to create extraordinary moments, that's, by the way, that's my vision for me. I have a personal vision for my life, and that is I'm Jeannie and I create extraordinary moments. How do I do that? That's my mission. My mission is I treat I treat every day as a gift. You see that little gift thing a lot of the
Oh
times. That's my
yeah.
little trademark, right? And then I know my values. So, in that sense, if I'm with an organization that is encouraging me to do videos,
Oh
I
yeah.
now know that this organization is giving me the opportunity to create moments, to do special things, to do meaningful work. I'm going to be real excited about that organization. I'm not going to see it as a chore or another responsibility or another thing I have to do. Before before we move past the fact that it is a hospitality tool,
Yeah.
and again, we talk about hospitality being gratitude, right? We
Mm-hmm.
recognize that being grateful to one another as a teammate or a mentor or someone who's leading the team. That's really important. So I say, and the way you put it was pretty good when you said, oh, the culture on the inside is typically determining who is more successful
Yeah.
or most successful at implementing videos that go then out into the community.
Yeah.
And that's because also it's a culture building tool. We agree on that, right?
Yes.
Um, it creates and it strengthens connections, trust. It creates a high trust culture.
Oh yeah. So good.
It's again, it's the authentic videos that really do the heavy lifting. And that's why it's important to give everyone permission to be themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have guidelines, of course, right?
Yep.
But within what is professional, to be themselves, to have an idea of the language that we speak as a team, but to be themselves is really important. And the only way someone learns that they're allowed to do that, Durran, is by seeing it done.
Yep.
So I would say send a positive morning message out to your team, right? The welcome message to a new hire. That's a culture building video, right? A special greeting from the CEO during like holidays.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic. Who wouldn't like to receive a fun,
All day.
video from the CEO or the dealer principal, you know, or your platform level executives, something fun. Spotlighting and introducing a new team member the day that the week, let's not say the day, but the week that they start, so that everyone now knows the face that goes along with the name,
Mm-hmm.
and they get a chance to say a little something about themselves so that you break the ice, like, hi, I'm Jeannie, I'm the new service advisor. In addition to being in retail automotive for 7 years, outside of work, I love to go running. My husband's got me into biking. I have 2 sons, and family is important to me. Exercise is important to me, and I also like to garden.
Yeah.
So, like that video being placed, by the way, the public would love it. So, why just keep that internal? Put it out everywhere.
Everywhere.
So then now someone comes in and sees, oh, Jeannie, you're the new service advisor. How do you know that? Well, I was on the Facebook page,
Wow.
right?
Yep.
And so um, I'm going to have, the breaking of the ice and and becoming part of the team. It's going to be a totally different experience, right?
Yeah.
Um, and everyone might know my preferred name. They're going to know my smile, right?
Yep.
That's going to be cool. How about spotlighting? How about spotlighting a person who does work in their community outside those things that we as our organization do? So then
Yeah.
that also becomes a big push, right?
Yep.
So I really enjoy education. I've been part of a board for a local school. I like to make sure that I can do fundraising. I really enjoy young people. So any chance I get to mentor them, I will. So if I'm doing that work and I'm part of your team, this is a funny saying, my meanness, me, right? Everything
Ah,
that's the me, right,
yeah.
aligns with the organization I'm at. Why not share the kind of people they hire if
Mm,
me and my desires and my service, even outside of what the organization has sponsored, really is a values match?
oh,
And
that's
why not allow me the opportunity to then spotlight who I give my time to and who I care about?
oh my gosh.
Like, that's so good. Put it everywhere.
Yeah.
Put it on the hiring page.
Oh, it's just all these moments. It's these micro moments, and like you said, I know you mentioned it about at home, but it's not just at home. The memories that get created across the community can be remembered. And, some people have those memories too, Jeannie, that they remember things for decades. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
something that maybe seems small to us can be a life changer for someone else because it's all in timing. So when somebody sees something and they saw
Mm-hmm.
it at that right moment when they needed that in their life. For us, for the person who sent it or posted it or wherever it was at, might not have seen much at all, but for that one person or however many people that saw that, it could be transformational for them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the part that sometimes we miss when we correlate videos to time, because
Mm-hmm.
that would be one of the number one reasons that I would hear as to why somebody doesn't do some of these things that we're talking about. How to, even internally, a leader might say something, I don't have the time. And that right there lets you know that it has nothing to do with time management. This starts with your heart because you're making time for other things.
Mm-hmm.
So what other things are you doing that could be just as impactful, if not more impactful, than connecting with
Interesting.
your team. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you have to have
Mm-hmm.
a weight.
I'm
There has to
mm-hmm.
be a scale, right?
I'm listening to that. And the thing that I would challenge them with, you don't have time for brand building. You don't have
Oh, I gotta write
time.
this.
You don't have time to demonstrate the
Yeah,
amazing culture that is going on in your organization.
I like that.
You don't have time for reputation, because that's what all of this is. It's who we are. Words and paper and logos and colors, this is not brand.
Yeah,
Even taglines, this is not brand. A well scripted commercial, they're effective. I'm not going to say that. But
yeah.
it's not the whole story of brand. And now, this is probably somewhere you're not expecting to go, but I'm going to go there, right?
Let's go.
Now, let's get into the goofy, geeky Jeannie. I have been studying large language models,
Hey, I like that.
yeah, and AI search
Yeah,
for the last several months. I do about like 2 hours a day because I know it's not that it's coming at us, it's already here.
sure is.
And so I will share with you that what I now know is the spokespersons for a company, their videos, their LinkedIn social media profiles, that is all part of what is teaching
Yes.
the large language models. Okay. Um, it is also what is informing AI search, so that now we have a fundamental shift of consumer behavior. They're not just, it's not a keyword relevancy to web page, old school SEO anymore, right? It's not that kind of digital reach. Instead, it's something more organic, something more natural, actually, in a wild way, that takes into account voice of the customer, that customer being two customers, your external, your actual market, and your internal customers, your people.
Yeah.
So the more that this culture exists, now the further ahead you are in what's coming at you with your ability to have digital reach in this new landscape with AI search and people going to large language model websites and typing in questions and having conversations with it, like
Yeah.
it's an advisor, right? And almost doing search on it. So now we're going to get into the era of what is considered brand marketing through spokesperson.
Yeah. That's good.
Are you following me on that?
Yeah.
I'm learning it as I'm going, so by no means am I an expert. But as I'm learning the spokesperson voice
Yeah.
is having a substantial impact on some of those large language models, some of those AI search results that are on the top of your SERPs, your search engine results page,
Yeah.
that it is taking into account LinkedIn, your social properties, TikTok,
Oh yeah.
Instagram, right? Reddit, all kinds of spaces and places where we have both, when they say text data, right? We closed captions on video where we have language.
Yeah.
It's the language itself. Well, now that means that we're all spokespersons. So again, now your brand director as one person, or even your marketing department, that should never be who's doing your brand strategy and your marketing. Like, everyone's a marketer, everyone is a brand ambassador, everyone is a spokesperson. So the more this culture exists inside, and the more that it is shared then externally as well, it's going to also serve what we don't even recognize are some technical advantages in
Yeah.
this new digital search landscape, so that we could reach more people. I guarantee you that you would do better off having an internal person or people as your
Mhm.
spokespersons than you would even hiring someone who's like a professional voiceover, or maybe
Oh,
even
yeah.
like maybe someone could relate to me more,
Mhm.
as a customer in the community, and what I would say about my experience than they might, like a famous person. I don't know.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
good.
it's a thought, and it's a thought I'm starting to give a lot of consideration to when I'm thinking, how would I advise companies to start to attack, some of the things they need to do for gaining more reach in this new digital market. Not digital market, this new
Mhm.
digital search landscape. I'm sorry, digital marketing. Who doesn't want to reduce ad dollars? Like, I used to do Google ads, right? Who wouldn't like to reduce ad dollars because you're knocking it out of the park with hiring the right people, because you've done a lot of video work, you put your culture
Mhm.
out there, you're getting people in, you're getting the right people in. How about making sure that they do a video for them to present themselves to the dealership as a fundamental for being hired, right?
Yep.
So you already know that they're willing to do it, they'll fit into your culture. And then, just keeping it going. And then on top of it, now all of this content is out there in all these different spaces and places. And what you don't recognize that you're doing is you're influencing
Yeah.
the learning of the AI technologies that is now being, used by consumers in a whole different kind of search behavior way. So that's like the geeky part of me, that where I see videos and internal spokespeople and trust-based cultures and all this stuff coming full circle. Like, it's just so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go way out there and I bring it in.
No, it's
Did I
it.
bring it in?
You did. You brought it in, but it all this show is it's incredible. This show has been like a book, this conversation, I'll say, instead of a show. But because if you would have came out the gates talking
Mm-hmm.
about large language hey, I wanted to, after we got into the intro, and he was like, yeah, I want to talk about large language models and how the voice plays into it. People would still, they would have been intrigued because AI and you know all this LLMs and the different brands that you have and choices that you have for the conversational AIs and the generative. I think it all laid out perfectly because we started with that hub, the core, the brand, the message.
The
Because
brand.
you can't, it would, I won't say you can't, but it would be very challenging to go to that end, to the
Mm-hmm.
element and focus on that without having the core. It's no different than, so it's interesting that you bring that up because it's the same thing when a dealership tells me they might want to do AI or they're thinking about it. I'll say
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. I say, before you even think about doing that, we have to
Mm-hmm.
get back into the core of your playbook and figure out, how does our team work? You already know where I'm going, alongside, right? And really, it's not how does the team work alongside, it's how does the AI work
Yeah.
alongside your team
As a
and your
teammate.
culture and your brand. Yes. And
Yeah.
that, I say,
Oh, I
we're
like
not,
that.
right? Yeah. I'll say, we're not even
Mm.
clear on that. I said, you're teeter tottering around what you all are all about. And we still have an employee turnover issue. We have all these other things that's going on. Our infrastructure internally isn't there. I'm not saying that it's not good to get it. What I'm saying is we need to establish our foundation first.
That's right.
Then we can
That's
plug in
right.
as many technology tools as we can. And I feel the same way with what you just said. If somebody just got on and just started sharing their voice and said, today I'm getting all in on social media,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that those other layers are there first, like they're ingrained, so then that way when your message comes out, it's in alignment with everything that you built up to this point. Because if your voice goes completely against everything that they thought the culture and the story is about, people are going to have mixed feelings or mixed emotions and mixed memories based
Mm-hmm.
on that. So you couldn't have
Yes.
brought that in at perfect time, and you brought it home perfectly with the show. But one thing that's completely, I think, going in not in a different direction, but it goes along with this show. When you talked about being, a saleswoman, and I love that first story. I'll never forget that. I can still
Father
not
Mike. Yeah.
believe about the big trucks and the oversized load, and the fact that you were a salesperson, but not just you turned into one. You got recruited based on how you handled yourself and the way that you carried yourself in that meeting by asking questions. That's a whole nother podcast conversation in itself, how cool that is.
And yeah, I learned the power of
But
questions.
yes. And so as we talked before we hit record about
Yes.
the importance of engaged women in auto and what that means, especially as we're recording this. So this is June, mid 2025, summer 2025 as we're recording this. But we're still at a point that women in automotive, there's such a huge gap in a lot of different areas, especially from different viewpoints. Like, I can speak it from my viewpoint as a business owner the last 7-8 years. What I see is rare in terms of, especially women in leadership, very rare. Women in automotive, still extremely rare. And there's a lot of topics, and I'd like for you to expand on your thoughts and your role in that and what you're seeing and what you all
Mm-hmm.
have accomplished. But I think now is such a great opportunity for anybody, but especially women, if they lean in as they're listening to you speak, because I would already be fired up, whether male or female, listening to this and hearing you speak about automotive and beyond. But kind of expand on engage women in auto and what that really means to you, why you got invested in it, and
Mm-hmm.
talk to us a little bit about the future. Like, give us some inside sneak peeks about what it's all about and the direction you all are heading.
Sure. So Engage Women Auto was a very
Mhm.
special initiative from Liza Borges and what she really wants to do is she wants to make sure that she is supporting women who do choose retail automotive
Mm-hmm.
as their place to have a career, and to make certain that they receive the community and also some specific training that allows them to have success. So this program is, I would call it a program. I would call it a professional and personal development
Mm-hmm.
community. It is a coaching opportunity, but so much more than coaching. And so she works directly with Danelle Delgado, who has Team Engage as one of her core offerings for teaching people how to really level up and to become the best version of themselves. And what I love about it is that she doesn't separate the personal self out of the professional self. So
Yeah.
one of my benefits, I can talk to this as the first class. And so what we all had to do was we all had to send in an application. And we talked about what we did in our dealerships and what we thought of the industry and what were the challenges, what we liked about it, and what we hoped to achieve. And then we were accepted into a group of, I believe it was almost 50 women. It wasn't a large community so that it could be very engaging and very personalized.
Mm-hmm.
And we were taken through 13 rules. And these rules were broken out into exercises that were to be done each week. I mean, they were for real.
13 rules.
13 rules broken out into 4 weeks. And to say that each one of those weeks was a masterclass of itself, and you didn't move from like one to the next. You stacked them,
Oh,
right? So
yeah.
it's not like okay, we're working on nutrition, now we're working on our our executive presentation. Now, now we move over to what is our, what's going on in our personal decisions, in how we spend our time, even when we're at home, and are we celebrating and all that stuff. It's not like you don't move from one to the other. You stack.
Built.
Yeah, and so you're stacking skills. And
Oh,
so
wow.
therein lies the beauty of it, and that is that the whole person emerges.
Oh,
And
that's
all those
good.
areas where you recognize that you are weak or that you are strong. Because you'll feel where, okay, this week, this was intuitive. Okay, this week, this was hard. And so you really discover what it is. It's a self-evaluation, self-discovery, self-responsibility. Uh, all the motivation and initiative has to come from you. You can really take advantage of this. And it really helps you to learn yourself and how you relate to others, how you think about your day, how you think about your life in general, purpose driven. You go through an exercise, like I said, to define my vision, mission, and my values, as I did in the beginning of this so easily. Well, that was one of the exercises. If you don't know that, here's the risk you run. If you take on the vision and mission and values of your organization without knowing your own, and then let's just say that in one of these merger acquisitions, like a buy sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
You no longer have that same alignment because there's a new company. Or in worst case scenarios, like let's just say that there wasn't a need for your role in the new store. I mean, these things happen.
Yeah.
What do you do with your feelings if all of your identity was only in your income earning self? That all of your identity was borrowed from an organization versus aligned with an organ, very different. To borrow it And then if it was gone, what happens to you, the person? To align with it, you're doing a lot of heck yeses. You're waking up ready to go to work. So one of the things that this definitely does is it moves you through what is a real necessary process of deciding who you are, why you're here, what you do, and how you can then become an asset to the organization that you've attached your dreams to. And how to be grateful to them. And as an asset, then you're going to get more invitations. And so it's also learning what that alignment is between you and your organization. And like there's nothing better than knowing that you're at the right spot. Or there's nothing better than knowing that, like, let's just say that there's something that you need to bring up, that you are real focused and real trained in how to do it in such a way so that you could bring it up so that the person can hear it.
Yeah.
You can pull back on aggression. You could even pull back on feelings. You could develop an emotional control to yourself, which is part of an executive presence. So that when you have to bring up something that needs to be heard, you're doing it so that it is a win for everyone. So like I would have to go on forever to talk about all the different topics and all of the different training that each week presents and the hardcore exercises. Liza and Danelle get on Zoom with us and they teach us every month. They bring guests on. You were a guest.
Yes. It's so powerful. It was electric in there for sure.
Yeah. And then we had our own clubhouse invitation only room because it was a very private, we attacked real things. Yeah. And so it was private discussions where we would brainstorm and think tank things. Not only that, the beauty of it is it took people who, like for me, I was in the role of brand director. There's someone who was in the role of general manager. I'm thinking of all the different, we had service advisors, we had dealer principals from other auto groups. We all got to talk to one another. When we hear what we're personally or professionally working on, where we have to do our work, where we hope to learn more, where there are things that are obstacles to be overcome with multiple solutions. We could share solutions with one another, but we also get a very good idea, Durran, of what each role has as a heavy responsibility, and it develops respect for one another in different roles and having to perform at different capacities in different times of the month or even the day. If I think about what it's like for a service advisor, at 9:30 in the morning versus what it's going to be like for someone in the middle of the afternoon on, say, a Tuesday, in business development, right? There might be a different cadence, because there are rhythms and patterns to our days in a dealership, right? We start to learn so much about each other because this group of women represented so many different roles.
That's right.
In so many different auto groups. And so we all then developed an extraordinary amount of learning from one another in areas outside our expertise, a lot of respect for what each one faces on a daily basis, sometimes an hourly basis.
Yeah.
We did a lot of solutions work together. The fundamental community of women just fully supporting one another is extraordinary. And then that spilled out, I think, into our family lives. I mean, inevitably that was going to happen in our family lives or with our partner or with our friend group. It was just going to happen as a result of you doing this heavy lifting kind of work. But it was also very focused on making certain, we did have our attention on how we could bring a better version of ourselves
Yes.
and a group of women to retail automotive, and then how we could support those that will come as the next group. So we're like the first group. This is the first year. So like I'm going to be alumni.
Ah, that's
Yeah, it's
cool.
kind of cool, right? And then there'll be a second group that comes in, you know, and hopefully as it grows and there are more dealerships and auto groups who recognize that when you give this kind of professional and personal development to women, they're going to really fall in love with retail automotive as a space in a different way than if we just come to it on our own.
Yeah.
And we don't maybe have, no, you know, no one is born with all the tools to handle all the difficult situations that life throws at us. And life happens. But when you get that kind of learning and you have that kind of community, it's a whole different experience.
Hmm.
So, with that being said, perhaps we won't have discouragement that would make a woman say, "This isn't for me."
Yeah.
And I know I kind of there I emoted a little bit and I went all over the place with that again. And yet at the same time, I hope I represented it well. Professional development, personal development, community, making retail automotive as a space stronger, inclusive, and better. As we rise ourselves, those around us do rise. It is so true. I think about what my sons have seen me do over the last year as this immense amount of work. And I think they know me as a woman now, not just mom, as they
Ah,
saw me doing some
beautiful.
work, which is cool. So if that can happen here, I'm sure it's happened in all the spaces and places that I spend my time. More than that, I know wherever my life takes me, I know my life work. And when I think of creating extraordinary moments, it doesn't stop at an auto group or a dealership. Like, I'm going to be who I am here. When I leave my front door, I'm going to bring it to work. When I leave work, I'm going to bring it to my charity function. I'm going to bring it to the neighborhood picnic. I'm going to bring it to sports events. I'm going to bring it everywhere. My consistency, right, is going to feel good for me, that I'm allowed to be who I am. And because I'm real grounded in it because I did the work for it. Um, and that is going to resonate with other people. I think it makes you attractive to others because they know who you are. They
Yeah.
know what they're going to get. And so in that sense, I think you'll also attract the right type of people around you who are more open to be vulnerable, ask questions, ask for help, want to learn. All these, what do you call them? EQ kind of skills,
Yes.
right? They're 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 teachable. Danelle and Liza prove it. I mean, yeah, they're exceptional women, but they teach it. They teach it by demonstrating their standards and then giving this framework to other women to then learn how to do it as well and to continue to demonstrate it. And the more people who demonstrate it, the more women and men who will be attracted to these types of persons.
Yeah.
And then perhaps the reputation of retail automotive as a really awesome space, to be and to have a career and make a good living, will rise as we each rise. I think that's Liza's vision. I can't talk for her. Her visions are, I mean, she's a small running woman, but she's like a
Oh
big
yeah.
woman.
She's a
Her
force.
presence.
Yeah.
So humbly, I kind of speak for her, if you understand what I mean. I think
Sure.
that's her vision. I think that's how she wants to definitely make a contribution and make sure that our space really does start to bring some of these neat, extraordinary, adaptable, coachable, um, you know, hardworking women into the dealerships and auto groups.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I mean, I could
Whew.
talk about that all like so much. It's I hope I've done a good job to be a spokesperson for them as I was going through the program. I tried to do that on LinkedIn a lot.
Yeah.
Um, we're wrapping up our first year. So at the end of this first year, then we'll learn enough about the next group of women and how to continue to be the spokesperson and how to give them very clear ways to become involved in it. So I'm looking forward to being able to share that. Durran, of course, thanks to you, I'll be making a video because I'm the video lady now that you encouraged
Ah.
me to. So, I'll do that. I'll make sure I share that with you. I would love for you to share it with your network.
Of course. Of course.
It's these women have such big hearts. Their vision is huge. Uh, it's amazing what they've given to us. It's really it's a framework. It's a real commitment. I'm going to say that. It's a
Yeah.
real commitment, and you will get into it what you put out of which you'll get out of it what you put into it. I reverse that. Um, but I think it creates a whole human being. And the more we bring our whole selves to anything, the better overall everyone around us is going to be. Our teams, our company. So
Mm-hmm.
it sounds soft, but it's ninja work.
Oh, I didn't hear anything that sounded soft to me.
You know what I mean?
It was ninja
It's
work back when you talked about the 13, the rules. So
yes,
it's intense.
it is. So I know that I know that there are a lot of groups. It's very different. It's fundamentally different.
Sure.
It is a very specific framework. And when you go into it, you've got to want it.
Yeah.
You've got to want it for yourself. And I wish for every woman and young person and man that we all do want that for ourselves,
Yeah.
because it's the it's it's the best version of ourselves. If you don't take the time, Durran, if you don't make the space to understand, the quiet space, the writing space, the reflection space, the workspace, to really understand who is your best version, like for
Mm.
real, or look at your ugly parts.
Yeah.
Like that's scary, but we all have them. And when you
Mm.
could look at them and you could say, okay, now what do I do about this, right? What do
Yeah.
I could name a couple, like, the world is so noisy with scrolling. The world is so noisy with like grind culture to the point of burnout.
Mm-hmm.
The world is so noisy with separating yourself in your work life from your rest of your life. If you don't take the time to examine those things and to really land in the right space and to know who you are, why you're here, and what you need to do in the long term, and how that looks every day in your behavior, how do you ever get to your best version? I don't know. So that's the framework
Yeah.
that Danelle and Liza offer in Engage Women Auto. It's good stuff, right? I mean, Where's
Yeah.
engagement auto? I mean, I'm sure I think Danelle has that too. I mean, but this is a group for women. I think
Yeah.
there is masterminds and groups for men as well. She's a powerhouse. Um, so I'm grateful. That's why I wanted to bring you on when we had our meeting as a guest.
Yeah.
I thought that was real important. I know that a lot of what you work on, and I mean, you mentioned that you're fasting.
Yes. You know
So
it. We're both fasters. We got to challenge
yeah,
ourselves and get to that core, because that's you know this our whole conversation has come back to the core, the internal
sure.
beliefs, the decision. You notice that even when we're talking about engaged women auto, as you get you spoke so well. So you're like, I hope I didn't know, very clear, and I'm sure
Mhm,
everybody has a thorough understanding. If they'd never heard, now they have a great understanding of what engaged women auto is. But when you think about that core, it's like what you said with fasting. It's because even internally, there's times that I just know that I have to have a reset to like get my spiritual, like I have to have it. And somebody else put it in a great way. They said, if you notice with our vehicles, and I know there's EVs now, so I need people to look at before all the EV stuff, but there's this thing called an oil change that gets
mhm,
done. There's certain maintenance things that get done with, and then if you think about a home, like the house, there's certain things that I have to do to this home that have to
mhm,
get done yearly. If they don't get done, there's going to be a problem. Think about the filter tied to the water. Think about your water system. There's so much that has to be cleaned out, that has to be refreshened. And the same thing with brand. You might
mhm,
have a brand, but it might need a refreshing.
mhm,
Internally, you might have gone left and you need to get another direction. So it needs to have a refreshing. And I
mhm.
think this whole conversation has been refreshing about at
Hmm.
at everything. It comes down to the core, and then you can build from there. So
Yes.
sometimes if on the outside, if the results and what we want to experience isn't there, a lot of times what I'm hearing is that it might be back at the core, right?
Yeah.
Or it could just be that you've got the core right, and now it's a mathematical equation that just comes down to timing, because at some point, it's like when the core is right, the only thing left is just the time of when you're going to receive whatever it is that you're going after, as long as you continue to expand your core and
Mhm.
keep grounded in that. So this,
Authenticity.
yes, that sums that up, because everybody, it's going to be unique to their own.
There's a lot
Everybody
of
has their
noise,
own.
a
Hmm.
lot of noise in the world. So getting to your authentic, you might think you're authentic. I thought I was like really authentic. I learned I had even more work to do to be
Yeah.
authentically me. My meanness was not always there. You know, if I'm a certain way in the house and I'm going to leave and I'm going to go to a workplace,
Yeah.
and then how am I going to be different? Like, no, like it's just really learning that the purpose the purpose is aligned,
Yeah.
the life is in alignment, the values are in alignment. When you go through difficulty, it makes it so much easier because life happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of these things that we talk about, video and brand and marketing, they're done by people. And
Hmm.
so whole people create cohesive, effective strategy.
That's good.
They do.
That's real good.
And you have to take it, you have to take a little time to work on. It's lifelong work. I am going to be done with this program, but I will never be done.
Yeah. because
And
it keeps
now
things
I'm
on.
I'm also continuing to work on the videos with all my video work, and I iterate and I get better. It's rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat, and
Yeah.
same with brand and where we're going with AI and where we're going with, new technology and everything. Adaptability is important. You know, I love saying also that, like, um, subtracting things, right? Subtraction is discernment in action,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes some things have to be subtracted so that you could focus on others. That's real important right now in our space to make sure that we're focused on the right things.
That's
Video is
good.
always the right thing. That's the plug. I mean, you and I both believe that 100%.
All day.
All day.
All day. It's such a
Like, look at
connector.
this. Like, it was so nice being able
Yeah,
to look at
we're
your face and have this conversation. Like, we're doing it right now. I feel like you were in my kitchen having iced tea with me,
I know.
you
It's like
know?
you're sitting right here. I'm like, hey. And for 2 hours, I bet you people are like these two
These
here.
people talk.
And I hope the audience and everybody listening to it got is connected and they feel um that they themselves, as we've talked, had a lot of the same moments that I've had in
Mm,
speaking. I mean, I've got so many notes here, and it'd be so interesting to see like what other people's notes are. Not that I need to see it, but it'd be interesting like what their takeaways are and their actionables that they want to tackle, starting with themselves. That to me is what makes me feel good, because people will watch this and transform internally before externally. And even if that's just one human, one out there, one spirit out there, I think that our message, I mean, I think our mission was accomplished. But it wasn't a mission to begin with. It was just an enlightening conversation, and I'm so thankful, Jeannie, that you shared your time and your wisdom and your energy, your light. I mean, there. It's so much. I will be replaying this myself and fast
mm,
forwarding to certain parts and re-listening because there's a lot to unpack, and it speaks to your wisdom, and your knowledge base, but most importantly your real experiences, like you can speak and even get in detailed with these experiences because so much of it mattered and played such a foundation into who I get to connect with and speak to today. But even more exciting than even this conversation here after speaking to you now
mhm.
is 12 months, 2 years, 5 years from now
Mhm.
to see, that's going to be
Yeah.
great. So I know this won't be our last recorded conversation. I believe it will be the first, video recorded conversation of many to go in the future, and just to see how it evolves. Both of us too, because both of us are
Yes.
on that journey of growth and evolving, and you've shared so many great things to me, books, messages. So thankful for it. And so before I do let you
Mhm.
go, Jeannie, any closing thoughts? And most importantly, too, there will be some people that will want to probably connect with you or research you or get. How can they get more of Jeannie? Can you please let them know how to do that, and any closing thoughts you have?
I'm very intentional about LinkedIn as a
Yes.
professional community where we share insights and also life work experiences.
Yeah.
And so that is a real easy way to be in touch with me. Our discussion, our conversation is a privilege. More than that, it is always a joy. And so if I am to leave the listeners with anything, it's really important to make sure that there's joy and celebration in life as well. And I think that for me is what allows me to just give.
Yeah.
But you know what's amazing? You'd think that after giving, like, you'd be too empty. It's so
Yeah.
interesting. Giving actually is it fills you. So I mean, just like this conversation,
Yeah.
every time I talk to you, It's a privilege and it is a joy.
Yeah.
And
Now I've got
thank
to
you.
go out and like
Thank you for having
run.
me.
Yeah, I've got to go run like Jeannie now. I'm about to like get some different clothes on in my shorts and go for a walk and a run because and if any of you once you do get on LinkedIn, you'll see Jeannie is um she works. She's connected in all areas, the physical aspect as well,
Yep.
and very inspirational. So I'm with
Thank
you.
you.
I'm energized and
Oh,
excited
I
for
appreciate that. I
yeah
accept
for
your
the rest of this.
compliment. That's lovely.
Yes.
Well,
So
it's been great.
yes,
Let's
it
do this
was.
again.
We will. No, for sure. And I'm excited. So thank you so much, Jeannie. I appreciate you and
Thank you.
gratitude.
Okay. Take care.
You too. Gratitude. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. It's always great, and I thank you for it. So, if you could do me a big favor, fam, if you want more videos like this, please like, subscribe, comment, share this out. And hey, if you want to see something different or if you have some feedback for me, send me a message. Love to hear back from you. But until then, thank you all. Keep winning. Be well.